money, 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 and the money I draws. Follow in my footsteps, I say hello, 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 hello. You can't do what.
Hey, what's up guys, TechTitan here and I'm back again with a brand new video. So before I begin, I just want to thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoy my content, please leave a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe to the channel. But let's put all those formalities to the side. With that being said, this is going to be an exciting one. So in my hand is the brand new 2024 Moto G Stylus 5G. And let me tell you this, a lot of things have changed. So these are my first impressions. I've only spent a couple of hours with this phone, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I want to discuss with you guys is the design itself. And this is a major change in 2024. So this phone is made out of this vegan leather material that makes this phone feel very, very premium in the hand. And it's not slippery, so I don't really recommend the case on it unless you really want to protect the phone itself. On the bottom of the phone, you have a couple of things. One, you have a headphone jack in 2024 that looks a little bit out of place, but it is what it is. You also have a microphone, your USB-C port that does support turbo power, meaning that it will charge at up to 30 watts. Extremely fast charging. You also have your bottom facing speaker as well as the stylus. The right hand side has your SIM tool, and the sides in general, this phone has this kind of boxier look and feel, and one that provides a better grip, especially when adding that kind of vegan leather material. The sides themselves are made out of plastic, which is not the most premium material, but they work well. The buttons on here are premium though, so even though they're made out of plastic, they're very clicky, very tactile. Power button / your volume up and down, which is found on the right hand side. On the back of the phone itself though, you do get your camera system. So it's a dual camera setup with your 50 megapixel main sensor, 13 megapixel ultra wide that also supports a macro kind of sensor, which is nice to see that they got rid of the other extra cameras that were bottom line useless. So all in all though, as a design first impressions, this is definitely a fantastic looking phone, and it's definitely a noticeable improvement versus the previous generation. If you ask me, it's leaps ahead from the 2023 Moto G Stylus 5G. I will be doing a comparison between these two phones, so be on the lookout for that. But for now, let's go ahead and switch this conversation and talk about another major change that has been done to the stylus lineup of the Motorola phones. Basically, the display here is also a leap forward as far as improvement. So first of all, you get a 6.7-inch POLED display. So finally an AMOLED display on a Motorola, or I would say on a mid-range Motorola device. So first of all, this phone is plenty sharp and it does what you would expect and gives you what you would expect from an OLED display. Because of the square design, the bezels are a little bit shrunk down, a little bit more than the previous generation. So not only that, this phone also supports 120 Hz refresh rate, which means all your content will look smoother and operates faster, and you can mess with that in the settings. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But as far as viewing your content, watching videos, anything that you would do on this display, you will not be disappointed at all. And even the interface itself seems a little bit faster, a little bit more cleaned up. So that's also thumbs up on the Android side of things. But let me go ahead and discuss with you guys a little bit about the 120 Hz refresh rate that you get with this OLED display. Alright, so basically if you go to your settings and you go to the display options, you'll see a couple of things. You'll see the option to keep it in automatic mode, which would essentially decide itself when to switch to 120 Hz. So it can push the refresh rate up to 120 Hz at that point. Or if you're not using the display in a heavy demanding way, it will keep it at 60 Hz. If you want my opinion, you have the option to keep it 120 Hz all the time. Use it. Take advantage of it. The only downside would be you will be consuming your battery a little bit faster than the standard 60 Hz. So keep that in mind, but then again, spoil yourself. So next thing that I want to talk about when it comes to this display, which is another step in the right direction, is the addition of an in-display fingerprint. So gone is the side fingerprint from previous generation. Now you get the in-display sensor that was relatively quick to set up. It took, I don't know, like less than 30 seconds to set up, 30 seconds to a minute if I stretch it. Yeah, so move your finger in any which way and setting it up would show you, as you guys can see on my screen. Is it fast? Yes. Is it as fast as a physical fingerprint? Not quite, but I found it to be reliable for the most part. Okay, so that's that for the display. Definitely an improved screen. Now I want to discuss the performance and the specs of this device. And this is a category where I feel like they did not focus on as much, but still gave us some pretty good things. So hear me out. So first of all, you get an octa-core processor, so you get the Qualcomm Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 based on a 4nm architecture. You also get the Adreno 710 for your GPU. Two options as far as storage: 128 gigs if you buy it with a carrier, or 256 if you buy it unlocked straight from the Motorola website. 8 gigabytes of standard RAM, which is fantastic, and also a 5000 milliamp hour battery. In addition to all of that, you do have the ability to charge this phone wirelessly. So 15 watt of fast charging via a wireless charging pad. So some really nice things that they did, again, step up from previous generation. So just from the couple hours that I've spent with this phone, what I found out, or things that don't really demand heavy power from the CPU or the GPU, work really fantastically, and they're very quick. And no crashes so far, so that's also something to keep in mind. More on that on my kind of 48 hours review and my full review. So let's go ahead and switch really quickly to the camera conversation. So again, with this camera setup, you get two sensors: a 50 megapixel sensor with optical image stabilization, and a ultra wide sensor that also has a decent 13 megapixel resolution. Now, one of the things that this phone is missing so far off of impressions, well, okay, let's not jump too far. First of all, taking pictures is quick, snappy, straight to the point, and switching between your photo, your video is also snappy, doesn't really take too much time. And even going as far as the wide angle itself, or just multitasking or going through the camera app, is really good. The pictures that this phone takes are relatively well, so I haven't really done a lot of picture taking so far, but what I've seen is that it does a pretty good job in giving us a little bit more of a saturated photo. But I will be saving my camera thoughts, my real camera thoughts, when I test this phone out a little bit more. So be patient with me. A full dedicated camera review is already in the works for this phone. Be subscribed so that way you don't miss that one out. Now I want to talk about the highlight of the phone, which is the stylus itself. And honestly, I feel like at this point it's kind of an afterthought. So the stylus is a nice addition, and I know it's supposed to be the highlight of this phone. You can do anything you want with it as far as drawing, signing contracts, and even going as far as handwriting instead of searching what you wanna type. It also works very well, but previous generation did have that. As far as the stylus design itself, it seems like a familiar stylus design. I don't really think they changed a lot from the previous generation, but if you want to use the stylus, it's there for you, and it works fairly well. Now, here's how I want to give you guys... Okay, so I want to give you guys kind of a preliminary conclusion, and this is off of me using this phone for only a few hours, so not that long to kind of draw a full thought out conclusion. Basically, what I want to say so far is that this has definitely been a fantastic experience. Now, this phone does come with a $400 price tag, so it better be for that price. So they definitely brought out a nice... I feel like this is what this phone should have been all along, and it's fantastic to see that this is definitely going to be worthwhile. There are definitely more things that I want to say about this phone, but I'll save it for another video. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.